Hi, I'm with Jim Marks, the commercial photographer and filmmaker who's had the good fortune to get his hands on the new Fujifilm X20 and the X100s. And I was wondering if you could give us a few thoughts about the cameras and also tell us how you managed to get hold of these.
I bribed people at Fuji so they could let me have them early. No, seriously, I begged, borrowed and stealed, and I was lucky enough to get some pre-production for a very short time and do some test shots just to see what they were like and what they could actually do.
And so what do you use for your day job, your professional work?
My day job, I'm DSLRs at the beginning, and then through the years I've had Phase 1 backs, Hasselblads, and now as mirrorless has kind of come of age and as a proper working tool for the professional, I've moved on to X Pros and X100.
So you shoot most of your professional work on the X Pro 1?
Yes,
100.
I have two X Pro bodies and have an X100 as well, yeah.
So what made you give up the DSLRs for?
Fundamentally, weight. When you've got a bunch of prime lenses, because I only shoot with primes, and two bodies, and you want to fly or go to work on a motorcycle or a horse, you need to think about weight. And the thing about mirrorless, I love it. It's tiny, and also they're really discreet cameras to use. They don't shout, "Look at me, I'm a photographer." You become part of the background with them, and that's really important.
So do you find the image quality compares with what you did before?
Absolutely. The image quality is spot on. If the image quality wasn't there, I would not be using them because they wouldn't be good enough. But starting with the X100 and then the X Pro, to be honest, the JPEGs I get out of them are awesome. Fantastic colour, really sharp, really crisp, very, very good.
And a client surprised when you pull that up your bag and expecting?
Yeah, they think, I paid you all that money, what the hell's that? And I go, you're not paying enough. No, but that's as much a talking point as the fact that you don't need, size does not equate to greatness. I think we all know that. No, it does the job, and it does the job really, really well. And that's why I use it. And I also like the range of lenses. Fuji were very intelligent when they brought out their lenses. They brought out prime lenses, 18, 35 and 60, okay, which are really intelligent focal lengths, and they were also all really fast. They weren't slow, none of this nonsense at 4 or 5.6. They were like 1.4 or 2.4. They're really good bits of glass. And I think people forget Fuji make glass for all sorts of people. Hasselblad, cinema glass, which is the most demanding in the world. So their optics are top notch. And so with those primes, with the bodies, it's just become a very intelligent little kit to do. I mean, I will say, you don't, as a jobbing photographer whose livelihood depends on my job, I didn't pick them up and go, I'm going to use them straight away and leave my DSLR kit at home. It's been a process of building trust in the brand and trust in the products, and till the point where I thought, yeah, actually, hell, these are great, and the advantages are there to see. Yeah.
So initially, did you use them side by side, and then? Yeah,
well, initially I thought, basically, I got into Fuji hadn't had a pro camera range until 2010 with the X100. I remember going to Focus in the UK, and on the stand there's a big hula about the X100, and I was just like, this is amazing. It's a leaf shutter lens in a body that big that looks like a Leica, that works. This is awesome. And so I took it out, bought one, tried it, and showed it incidentally to loads of photographers who all bought one as well. Sadly, I wasn't on commission. But I used it on jobs, and I thought, yes, I like what I see. And then the X Pro was the same. And the nice thing about my kit, I have two bodies, I've got those primes. I also take my X100, so I don't actually need to change lens on a job. It's really, really fast.
Which lenses do you use the most?
I tend to use the wide angle least, to be honest, because I've got a 35mm equivalent on my X100. So I'd be shuttling between the 60 and the 35, which is equivalent to 50mm or 90mm in sort of full frame speak. So those are the two. I mean, I have to say the 35 is just awesome. It's really sharp bit of glass, and I know they have some other stuff coming down the pipe. I know I know the zoom lens is very good as well, though I tend to stick with the primes.
And how do you use the camera? What sort of modes? You use the manual exposure modes? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing about these cameras, and I know there's a lot of hoo-ha when they first came out, was the focusing. Because I think if you come from a DSLR, they focus completely differently, and they do require a different approach. I'm a great believer in the right tool for the right job. If I was going to photograph racing cars coming at the camera, don't use a mirrorless. You'd be using a DSLR. okay, because that's the tool for that job. But for everything else, landscapes, portraits, people, PR, you name it, they can do it. And it's just a case of learning. I mean, one of the key things I did very early on was to put the camera onto manual focus, which of course isn't actually manual focus in the traditional sense. It's actually the AFL, AEL back button. So that separates the action. I actually like that. So I'd go up, focus, compose, fire. It separates the action out.
Yeah.
And I find that actually speeded things up. And that's, I mean, everyone's different. Some people like to put their focusing on the shutter button. I personally like to be able to control it separately so I can just play with it as I go.